Hi everyone, I'm Catherine Linder Spencer. I'm glad to see Elizabeth here because I was going to start to say that we went through the NIFA MARC program together 9 years ago, and one of the things that we were encouraged to learn about through our studies was being able to talk about our work more. And I just want to say that for me this is still a work in progress. I challenge myself all the time to be able to express in writing and verbally what I'm doing. And I'm going to go on this side so I don't knock this over. Sorry, John, about the camera. This is from a series that I did just in the past few years called Gathering Symbiosis. And what this is about more than anything for me is how one thing leads to another. And if it seems like I'm rambling and talking in weird different ways, I promise you it's going to come together. So just stick with me for the next 8 minutes, okay? I do all different kinds of artwork. Most people know me as a 35mm photographer. I still am a 35mm photographer. This is 35mm. One of the cameras I use is the same camera I've been using since the early 70s. How this came about, I've been a teaching artist for almost 30 years, and I started to branch out a few years ago into out of classroom and kids and more into the arts and healthcare world. And one thing led to another, and I found myself signing a contract to work with adults from Aspire, adults who have various traumatic brain disorders, various types of cerebral palsy, a lot of different challenges, which I was so excited to embrace through a project with them. As fate would have it, their work was going to be the inaugural exhibit, in a brand new building on the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus called the Conventus Building, which some of you have seen probably near the corner of Main and High Street. Its tagline is the Center for Collaborative Medicine, and it is physically and metaphorically linking healthcare around that part of downtown Buffalo. So when I wanted to see what this gallery space looked like, the education corridor for my students, one thing led to another, and I started to explore this new building that wasn't yet really open for business. And I started to see the juxtaposition of the fancy, shiny, new part of the building with all the stuff that I'm really fascinated with, which is what's behind the closed doors and beneath the surfaces. So this is one example, and I did end up exhibiting it, which I'll try and get into very briefly in a few minutes. But this part on the right is, the shiny part, what my husband says on the brochure, what you see in front of you. And it's actually a sculptural light for lighting in the lobby of this new building. This was in a boiler room. So I challenged myself to juxtapose them and unify them and to show how they need each other by doing something I've never done, which is I printed these on metallic paper. It was fun. So, I'm constantly learning new things, but what really this means to me was most of the work, if any of you know my work, some of you do, it's usually rooted in history and heritage and how we need to look back in order to be able to move forward, and it's about how we heal communities. This is about healing communities in a very different but powerful way for me. So, whether you like this or not doesn't really mean anything to me. I love it because I love the way they look, but more than that, I really love that the metaphor for me is how in the world of medicine and healthcare, we all need each other. And what you see when you walk into a hospital or a healthcare facility or anywhere is a lot, but what you don't see is people and things that are hidden and behind the scenes who are working to now I know I was screaming, who are working behind the scenes to heal people and to heal the community and to make people well and better. So for me, the fact that this opportunity to find some unexpected soul in a brand new building, and I like new and different things, but really it's usually old things that resonate with me, but this caught me off guard, and I think being able to explore this building from the outside, inside looking out, helped inform what I did with my students for their project and their exhibit. And that exhibit was up for 1 year, and it was quite beautiful. And so, I don't know, did I talk myself back into anything that made sense here? I'm not sure. So, I think that's it. I think that's it for me. Are there any?
You were gonna mention the exhibit of Hallwalls.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. So, and speaking of unexpected, one thing leads to another. So I had to ask permission to go to the secret parts of the building with my camera because I knew there were some cool things to look at since it was still under construction. So one thing led to another, which is that they had some beautiful space. They have a beautiful space on the first floor in the lobby that had not yet been designated or built out for cutting a hole through to make an office or a lab. And I ended up exhibiting 7 of these diptychs. These are 45 by 20, I think. I haven't done a lot with diptychs. I hope to do more. But they were up there for several months, and people who work in the building, including our next door neighbor, who's a biochemist for a company called Athenex, wanted something in her office that was from this series so that she could be working in a space in a building that reminded her of where she was. So that was interesting. And for the most part, these have just been, for the past 2 years, just been sitting on the 3rd floor of our house, packaged up, wondering what to do. And I thought, since maybe not too many people got to the Conventus building to see this exhibit a few years ago, I thought this would be something that would be different, and I hope a little interesting to share with people. So now that's it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.